Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. One of the most interesting teams right now from a roster mania perspective is what exactly is going on with the Boston Breach. We believe we know the 3 players out of the 4 on their team, but they are still going to need a main AR. Is it going to be Methodz? Is it going to be Clayster? And with Slasher maybe going to FaZe, those are seemingly the only 2 options on the table. And if Clay was to get the spot, Crimsix believes maybe Methodz should just retire and go down the content route instead. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. I've already said the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Some spicy stuff today. Definitely don't want to miss hitting that subscribe button because, wow, there is going to be a lot of confirmations, I believe, happening over these coming days and further rumours to boot as well. This also to mention because not just Coach Mania, General Manager Mania, but there's also Social Media Manager Mania because Gersh has decided to part ways with the Subliners. I imagine because maybe he got an offer elsewhere. But interesting stuff because obviously the Subliners have done such a great job with their social media kind of perspective. The last couple of seasons, Gersh obviously has been a big part of that. But I mean, yeah, they're losing part of their team. So Subliners, they're certainly catching a fair few L's lately, to be perfectly honest. Obviously, they almost lost HyDra. We still believe they're going to get HyDra now. But I mean, HyDra wanted to go to Optic if he could, and they eventually decided they're not going to make a change. And then HyDra probably wanted to go to FaZe, and they decided they didn't want him either. So yeah, a bit of a messy situation ready for New York lately. But I mean, yeah, Gersh moving on. So hopefully he gets a good opportunity elsewhere. And of course, he does the whole Illy thing. So like Optic Gersh should be kind of funny to see. Don't really know where he's going to go, but I'm sure he's probably got an offer from somewhere or another that he's more than likely accepted over this one. Let's dive into the Crimsix stuff. Thought this is pretty funny, to be honest, right? Some sacrificed a lot to go pro. Cellium sacrificed and all this kind of thing right here. How many states made up the US before Alaska and Hawaii joins? And as a non-American, I had to think about this for about 1 second. I was like, okay, 50 minus 2, that's got to be 48, right? I'm guessing that's the answer. But Cellium, 53. This guy's out of control. And I saw his face, and this is pretty funny, to be honest. And even this from Crimsix as well. So Crim has been taking the mick. He honestly, Crim, if he does have to do full-time content, like it's going to be comedy. It's going to be unfortunate, right, if he doesn't get a spot. But with no expansion, I can't really see where Crim goes. Looking through all the teams in the league and the teams that Crim is not going to be a part of, there's realistically only a couple of options remaining. Boston might be one of them as the main AR. That's a slim possibility. But they have the Methodz consideration. They maybe have the Slasher thing, but we think he's going to FaZe as it currently stands. And then there's the Clayster question and Crim. Like, man, if Clayster and Crimsix are competing for a spot and Crim gets it over Clay, that would be like, well, that kind of sum up the last couple of years, to be honest. But Crim does have some good ideas as to who he would play with, and I do wonder whether the only spot that I think could potentially remain is Florida, maybe for Crimsix, because every other team seems to have a good idea as to what they're doing. Florida don't really know, but I think they're building around Dave Paddy. Like, I mean, of course, like Awakening is not going to be a thing with Crim, it seems, even though maybe Awakening's going to team with Crim. We'll see that here in a second. And Crim actually mentioned that Wardy and Beans, these are, I think, the 2 guys, especially Wardy, that he played back in, I think it was the Prime Classic, right, where New York actually won the event. But in the group play, like Wardy was having his way apparently with Crimsix and the New York guys, right? So this guy is definitely one of the top prospects right now from the Challenger side. As an SMG player, he had the #1 KD at the Challengers World Championship, but like a 1.3 or something. This guy's out of control. Beans also someone very highly rated, and Crimsix says, look, this guy almost single-handedly beat our team, and we won the entire event, that being Wardy, saying that, like, look, if he was building a team today, these are the 2 guys he would try and get. And maybe Crim talks to Florida, and Crimsix, like, the amount of Florida man memes that you could do with Crimsix would be fantastic. So, maybe that's a possibility. But Crim to Florida, he gets these couple of guys in, he tells them what to do, and maybe they build that team. That, to me, is the only option that I see Crimsix getting. If he's not there, then I suppose it's content for Crim. But it might also be content for another player in the league that, well, could be one of the Boston guys, because we're not really sure what the Las Vegas Legion are planning to do. But Clayster has been linked to them, and he's also been linked to the Boston Breach. Those are the 2 key teams that Clayster has been linked to. Methodz, of course, is currently sitting on the Boston Breach, but he's only got a game launch extension contract. And what this means is for Methodz is that after 2 weeks after the game launches, in effectively the middle of November, the team can decide whether they want to drop him or whether they decide to want to continue his contract. Like, it's pretty very favorable for the organization, right? The player could potentially get highly screwed over. So Boston probably don't want to have to do that to Zinni if they don't have to. But look, they've got to make up their mind relatively soon as to which AR they will decide to get, if they want to build around Zin, if they want to potentially get Clayster in, as we'll see here in a second, or maybe Crimsix is still potentially an opportunity. And then at least they allow Zin or Clayster or whatever to pursue other opportunities. But there's not many AR spots left in the league that these players can grab. Now, Awakening actually says this. I have no idea who this actually is in his DMs here, but I thought this is pretty funny. I think he wants me to play with Crimsix. Pick up Crim, don't be dumb. And he says this again and again. Don't be dumb, pick up the fat man. So, I mean, yeah, Crimsix has got shooters left, right, and centre. said maybe on Crim's agent's burner or something. Yeah, I thought this was pretty funny because, of course, that was the thing with Awakening, right? Or Crimsix said that Awakening might be the guy that can decide whether Crim gets to play or not. If Awakening was to choose to play with Crimsix, then probably they do that. Whether Boston as an organization really want to do that, that's a bit of a question mark as well. And of course, they do have Zinni there, like who's going to be a solid piece. But it's always a thing, right? If you bring Crimsix in, yes, you get the baggage and the potential downside, but you do get a team that at some point in the season is certainly going to be a contender, right? Every year, Crimsix manages to form a team and gets the best out of his players, at least at some point, to which point they can make a grand finals and potentially win, as happened this year, as has happened in previous years as well, of course. I think the same thing would be the case here, and as I said before, I don't think Methodz has quite the highest ceiling, but he also has a higher floor, as in, the team's not going to be terrible with Methodz, but it's probably not going to be spectacular, right? So it's a thing that, of course, the Boston guys have to consider. Now, Florida have kind of said they're building around Dave Paddy, so maybe the Crim thing doesn't really work if they've got Dave Paddy and Crimsix on the same team, because they'd probably want to both run them NER, unless Crim was thinking, well, maybe I could go to a flex for a season, or maybe like Mutineers actually decided, should we have kept Dave Paddy, maybe we'll put him to the bench or something just in case Crim goes rogue again. Don't really know what they're thinking over there. But the Methodz situation to me is the most interesting one. I'm sure Methodz has been thinking, well, damn, ever since they kind of confirmed the game launch extension, it's kind of showing the intent from Boston to potentially get rid of Methodz, or at least give a very clear indication to Methodz that you are not safe within this team, especially with other NERs flying around, with Arcitys going to Los Angeles Guerrillas, Slasher maybe going to FaZe, and Crim, Clayster, all these guys, Dave Paddy as ARs on the market right now, and of course Attach now becoming a main AR as well, so there's not even an AR spot potentially over the Minnesota Rocker. It's really tough for some of these guys, and Crim was having a few words to say on this, that he actually reckons that potentially Methodz should just step away and retire, right? He was actually kind of roasting Methodz pretty hard for earlier this season, when right at the start of the season, the only team that Subliners can seem to beat was the Boston Breach. I'm pretty sure they beat Boston at the kickoff, and then they beat Boston during stage 1 or stage 2, whatever it was, when they had royalty, and the New York team was absolutely terrible, but they still somehow managed to beat Boston Breach in that series, right? So Crim was just roasting Zinni and saying, look, it's time for Zinni just to retire. Eventually, you're just not good enough.
I mean, bro, Zinni should be doing content. Because if he couldn't beat us with royalty, he should... I feel so bad saying that because it wasn't that was just when we were all terrible. It wasn't royalty. Don't get me wrong, we're all terrible. We're all terrible.
Bruh.
Start the tell all.
Whatever
please,
you want,
at Clayster.
bruh.
I know I picked that message out of all of them, but guys, try to get a new contract. Worst thing I could do right now is leave a bad taste in people's mouth. When I sign that new contract, I'll say my piece. I got 1 or 2 decent options, right? Good options right now.
Nope.
And then the rest of them are kind of looking grim. So, we shall see, boys. We shall see. Let's hope I get one of these first 2 options. It's not looking terrible, but it's not looking good. Well, we'll see.
So what do you think Methodz would do if they do decide to bring in a different AR? Because, if I'm Boston, my number 1 pick would have been Slasher. If Slasher is now going to FaZe, then you have 2 options, I think. As I say, maybe 3 options. Methodz, Clayster, or Crimsix could be your options out there. It's a question as to what you do. I said, last season, that I would like to see what Clayster would be able to achieve with these younger guys. I feel like maybe there's potential there for Clayster to get a lot of action out of these guys. Then again, Clayster brings his own set of potential issues, and Methodz, you kind of know what you're getting. You get the content side, good personality for the brand, this type of stuff as well. So there's a few things to consider. It's tough to say what Breach should do, and of course what they will do here. But if they do decide to go down the Clayster route as opposed to Methodz, which I would say there's a decent chance they potentially do exactly that. And even, Clayster was kind of saying here, when Crone mentions the Las Vegas Legion were potentially front running to try and sign him, he was, being very clear that look, okay, I've been approached by multiple teams. Why would you single out Vegas? Because that makes other teams feel like I'm going to Vegas and therefore not follow up with me. So kind of saying that he wants to keep his options open here. And he also said on stream, I probably already shared the clip for you guys actually, that Clayster has, got 1 to 2 teams that he's seriously considering. My understanding is that's probably Boston and Las Vegas, right? Those are the 2 organizations that I would expect Clay to go to. The thing is, are those 2 organizations, the AR spots on those teams, just going to be determined by which way Boston decide? As in, if Clay goes to Boston and Boston decide to get rid of Methodz, does Methodz just go to Las Vegas and become their main AR alongside Temp as the flex player? player, and then, you know, maybe whatever they're going to do with TJ, like there's other players that could potentially be on that Paris team or Las Vegas team next season. Like, is it just going to be between Clay and Methodz who gets which spot, and whoever gets the Boston spot, the other one of them gets the Las Vegas spot? I think that's a possibility. Then again, what's Methodz thinking in that situation, right? Does he want to go to Las Vegas if even the opportunity is there? Now, if the minimum salary was, you know, still where it was, which it is, but like if every team like Vegas, Paris Legion was still paying the minimum salary, he might think twice about it. But apparently now they're upping the salary they pay somewhat to 2-3 times the minimum, 100, 150k, something like that. So probably he would consider it anyway. But yeah, Crim believes maybe this guy should just retire and let someone else take the spot, because there's guys like Assault out there and all this, and even Crimsix of course will want a spot, but he won't want to go to Vegas Legion, it seems, unless they pay him an absolute bag, which is unlikely to happen. So interesting one for sure. Methodz is probably one of the players that divides the community most between people who really like Methodz and want to see him succeed, or people who just think he's terrible medio and he just plays for kills or something. Like, I think the community is so like split on this issue. I'd like to see him still competing. I think he's a great personality for the scene, but you know, I do wonder what Methodz' plan is if Boston decide to get rid of him, because he said on stream that he wants to stay on Boston. That is his ideal situation. But you know, if they do decide to go down the Clayster route or something, then does Methodz just go to Las Vegas, or does he decide, you know what, maybe it is time to go down the content route, as Crimsix in fairness was suggesting? So rather interesting set of possibilities here. Definitely intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. And that is the thing, right? If Vegas can't get Clayster as they probably want right now, because obviously he's going to prefer to go to Boston Clayster if he gets the opportunity over there, then you know, what do Vegas do? Are there any other considerations for them? Because I mean, look, it is an interesting one. I guess Temp should probably be the flex on that team because he's going to stay there, but there are some other many R's out there that could be in consideration. As I said, guys like Adam Assault could potentially come back from the challenger side, world champion back in, of course, 2018. The only event he ever won was a world championship winning MVP performance from Assault, so maybe that's a candidate as well. Definitely an interesting one. Intrigued to your thoughts on all this in the comment section below for sure. Just to mention a couple of nice pieces of content as we close out the video, and also I'll show an outro clip here from you know, the whole Crimsix DavePaDy thing. We've come out a few words to say for DavePaDy actually, and you know, why they might not necessarily get on the best as teammates if that was to be a thing on the Florida Mutineers next season. But there's this brilliant video over at the Breaker Point you know, YouTube page. There's a load of good stuff going on over there right now, and also this from Los Angeles Thieves, which might be live or just about to go live as this video is going out on their 0 to 100, which is officially going up tonight. So looking forward to watching this one and reliving the moment where they won the World Championship. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button and tell us the YouTube gods it's a good video. Others like you should see it as well, and hope grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.
DavePaDy, I've never been RKO'd by, you know, in talking in a scrim faster than what he did. He RKO'd my in one word. I said, DavePaDy, you look like how you play. And he replied with, likewise. I feel like I just got sniped by a 338 Lapua at 800 meters, bro. My wig flew off. I didn't say a word the rest of the day. Fool just, and it was the way, it was the quickness that he did it. I literally typed it. He literally like read it and was already typing his reply. I literally just typed, no, we won that scrim. But I literally typed in the chat. I was like, GG, I'm reporting the L. Fool just said likewise. He's basically saying, I'm fat and I play like I'm fat.